Okay, so in this first installation, I'll be covering the basics of sets and reps. The very basics. So, for some nomenclature or some just naming stuff, what is a rep? A rep is a shortened term for repetition of an exercise. It's basically a measurement of motion. An example is, I did 1 rep of a bicep curl. 1 rep of a bicep curl. That was 2 reps. 1 rep of a bicep curl. There we go. It's kind of self-explanatory. A set is a group of reps. It's differentiated between other sets through rest times, like the time in between sets. Right, so if I do a set of 15 of bicep curls, yada yada yada, just imagine I do 15. Alright, I'm going to rest for a bit, and then I'm going to go again. I mean, there are more complicated sets, which I'll explain in future videos, but basically a set is just a group of reps, separated by rest times. And that leads to the question of, like, why don't we just do one big-ass set, like just one giant set, to, like, fully exhaust the muscle? Well, there's a problem, because it doesn't fully exhaust the muscle. Instead, our body's physiology, like, physically stops us from truly fatiguing everything with just one set. It's impossible to do so, and therefore we need multiple sets to fully stimulate and fatigue our muscles. So in the case of we need multiple sets, right? How many sets per week do we need for each muscle? It's going to be around 10 to 20 sets per week, per muscle or body part. For some muscles, it will be lower. For example, I only train my hamstrings with like 6 sets per week, 3 sets per leg day, and they get sore after every workout, and to be honest, they aren't the most important muscle to me, so I don't really care that much. I still train them, but they aren't something that I want to maximize growth with. This also changes with your goals. On the other hand, I have like 20 like horizontal pressing sets in a week because my goals align more towards that. And you probably know about compound movements and isolation movements, compound movements being movements or exercises that use multiple muscles, isolation being exercises that use one. And so with all of these, like, 10 to 20 sets per week for each muscle, what about compound exercises, right? Because they work multiple muscles. So how would you count those? Like the bench press, right? It works your chest, triceps, and shoulders. Would you count each set of bench press as 1 set for each? Therefore, like 3 total sets, technically, right? 1 for triceps, 1 for shoulders, 1 for chest. I would not agree. I would say for compounds, there's going to be 1 or 2 major muscle groups, and I would only count for those. For the bench press, that would be the chest. So if I do 1 set of bench press, I would only count that as 1 set of chest. I would not count that for shoulders. I would not count that for triceps. Because for one, it's way too complicated, right? It's like, okay, 1 set for chest, maybe like 0.3 for shoulders, maybe like 0.25 for triceps. Like, you don't want to go down that route. Therefore, the minor muscles, I don't count. Instead, with the minor muscles, I still have 10 to 20 sets for them. And then the extra work from like compounds is just a bonus. It's just a bonus. And I find that this system is the best. Now that we know the best number of sets to do, what about the reps? Right? There's a stereotypical of like 1 to 5 reps per set is for strength. You got your low reps, high intensity. That's strength. You got 8 to 15 reps per set for hypertrophy. You got medium intensity, medium reps. And then you have 30 plus reps per set for endurance. You got low intensity, high reps. Okay, so 6 to 7 and 16 to 29 don't do anything? No, that's obvious. These are just heuristics. They're very easy basis to just remember things without much nuance. Because the thing is, you can use any of these to grow muscles. Although 1 to 30 is like the best range for growing muscles. Like past 30, you're like really not growing anything. But within 1 to 30, it's like all fair game, basically. I mean, there's a lot of nuance in it, like which range is like the best, the most optimal for muscle growth. But within that entire range, 1 to 30, you can build muscle all throughout it. And that most optimal range for gaining muscle is 6 to 15. Keep in mind that you can go below that, and you can go higher than that, and they will all give you muscular gains. It's your preference. But 6 to 15 seems to be the best rep range for most people. And so with all of this, you want to track your progress. Right? You want to track your workout, the sets you did, the weight, the number of the reps, and the date. Because once you start doing this, you can actually start seeing progress being made. And for one, that's addicting. When you see yourself progressing, it's like a positive feedback loop. You want to do it more. You want to progress even more. And that's one of the powers of actually tracking things. Like, I can look back, like not even in a year, like I increased my dumbbell row, like my one-arm dumbbell row, by like 20 pounds. Like, that's at least 40 pounds for my like 2-arm rows. And things, if you don't track, you have no idea where you are at. I've wasted 2-3 years, perhaps. And do you want to waste those years being demotivated because you don't see progress? Or for one, it's because you're not seeing anything at all. You're not seeing yourself physically get stronger. And the thing is, changes within our body are so slow that it's so hard to see if anything has changed. I've done this where I've taken progress pictures every week for a cut, and it's like every week it's, you know, I mean, maybe in some weeks I can see a little more leanness, I can see a vein pop out there that wasn't there like 3 weeks ago. But then like when I take like the beginning and then the after photos, like week before the cut and after the cut, it's like, wow, that's a lot. And I didn't notice that day to day. But over time it's a lot. It compounds. And that's the power of tracking. And so you need to track this if you want to make good progress, that is. And so finally, all reps are not equal. Keep into mind that some muscles have a smaller range of motion. Therefore, they will need more reps generally in order to get the same stimulus as others. This is the sort of time under tension. Right, basically time under tension is what it sounds like how much time your muscle is being worked or stretched or whatever. Like for a squat, the range of motion is massive as compared to a calf raise, right? You don't need nearly as many reps for squats to get like 40 seconds of time under tension. If you do like slow squats, it's quite easy. On the other hand, like your calves, the range of motion is so small that you'd either need to deliberately slow down the movement or add a lot of reps. Either way, you want to equilibrate to the time under tension to get around 40 seconds per set. And I'll go into this in more depth in later videos, but something to keep in mind. And you can find out more in my training book, which is in the description below. And I will see you next Tuesday.